Okay, this final section for the Word Unit D is going to be talking about tables, inserting tables, doing footnotes and endnotes. So tables are a really handy object of a document that you can insert that will help organize content in a column and row fashion that you can fill with text or graphics to allow your reader to have an easy spot to see what you're trying to reflect to them. A cell is the box that's formed by the intersection of a column and a row, and the borders are the lines that divide those rows and columns into sections. So here's a sample of a table. It's a completed table in a document. Up here is the table column headers. They've done that in a separate color so that you can actually see the differentiation between the actual table itself and the table column headers. Then down here you've got the different types of activities and then check marks. It could have your table may show non-printing grid lines between the columns, or you can show the grid lines. It all depends upon how you design it. If you've got a large table, lots of times, if nothing else, the grid lines below and above each row will really help your reader be able to follow the content from one side to the other without having to use their finger or ruler or get lost in the process. So I'm going back to this table. Go back to inserting a table is really simple. We're going to go to this document that we've got here. Let's zoom it back out so we can get it into one page. And when you're inserting a table, it's a simple matter. We're going to go home. Okay, this is where you'd be. You're going to go to Insert Table. And table inserting nowadays, you don't have to plan ahead as much as you used to. It's a lot easier because all you have to do is just slide into table how many rows and how many columns you want just by selecting the table choices that you have. We don't have a spot decided to insert here, so I have to pick a spot in my document. I was still in header and footer. So here we've got a table. We want a 4-column table with 6 rows. Then you may want to format this top column. That would be, let's say, region, representative, sales, and resources. Okay, and say you wanted to center all of these here, you would go back to home, set it at centered. Now, if you wanted to fill in that area, you would go into table properties down here at the bottom, click on that, and go down here to borders and shading, and it would allow you to fill in on the shading tab, allow you to fill in that row with a color, and we're going to put this one at a light blue, so that should fill in that row with a light blue. Say OK, and now you can see I have a light blue for my column heading characteristics. So let's take that, we'll make that a little bit bigger, we'll make them bold so that they show up a little better, and then now you have your content you can put in here. Then you can tab to the next row, tab to the next row, tab to the next row. And this allows you to insert content into your columns. Again, if you wanted to look at the table format, right click on that you got a 4-sided arrow up here. Right click on that, and then you can go to table properties, and if you wanted to have something to do with the borders and shading, if you want to go into the borders and say you want to have the border on the outside but not on the inside of each cell, then you could remove these cells here and just have the border around the outside. So let's see how that looks. Okay, so now you can see I've removed, get rid of that hint there. I've removed the column dividers, even though they still exist. And the nice thing about Word 2013 that they've added this year a new quick change to tables. You get these little handles that come up at columns and that come up on rows that are just so handy as far as selecting and adding new columns. It used to be such a pain that you'd have to highlight, select, insert row above or below, where this way you just grab that little handle and you can plus it as much as you want. Now let's select that table again. Let's throw those borders in again. Let's go back to table properties and we're going to insert borders and shading. We're going to put the borders back in between the rows. And that would allow your reader to see things a little bit easier. But sometimes it looks more cluttered, so that's more of a custom use by the user as far as how they want their table to look. Okay, let's go on to the next section. We're talking about footnotes and endnotes that provide additional information to your reader. You've got the note referencing mark, in other words, in the text of the document, you're going to have a number or a star or some sort of character that's the referencing mark. And then down at the bottom of the document, that page or that column, you're going to have the footnote or endnote. The footnote's placed at the end of each page. The endnotes are placed at the end of the document so that your reader can refer to those footnotes or endnotes and know what you put the asterisk by the text or the number where you wanted to give them further information about the marked area. Now, as far as headers or footnotes and endnotes, they're going to look different. Like I said, the footnotes are at the end of each page. It's going to have a separator line that you can set up, and then footnote text. You're going to have, let's look at this a little closer. Oops. You're going to have the footnote where up in the document there should have been a number 1 somewhere. We don't see the number 1, but we see the 2. So here's the number 2, and it refers to this line down here at the bottom. And that makes a big difference in what your users can see when they're working on reading your document to make sure that they can understand content a little easier. So that's what covers the endnote, the footnotes, and inserting tables into your document. That's the end of Unit D. We are not going to cover citations, so this is where your work stops for this unit.